Welcome back to the Imperfectionist Beauty Podcast. I'm really excited today because I have Yanni on here. And so I found Yanni actually on social media, and I was very intrigued by her production, the way that she did her social media, and I was very intrigued. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we're going to get into asking her some questions.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Yanni, the CEO of the Real Look Beauty Studio and founder of Lash Social. And honestly, I am so excited to be here on this podcast. When Michelle reached out to me, I was like, oh my gosh, hi. Of course I want to be on the podcast. So I am very excited to be doing this today. So let's go.
I love it. I reached out to her because I started following her from, I think, someone else that I follow. And I was just so drawn into the way that you edited your reels. They're
Mhm.
just so boom, 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 all these different angles, different shots. And I'm just
Mhm.
it's so appealing to my brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm
Yes.
just like, how can I create something like that? Because when you go into any type of editing apps these days,
Mhm.
bro, there's 20 million that you can download. And it's
Yeah.
where do I even begin? Where do I even
Right.
start? So
Mhm.
how did you get on your social media journey, as well as really getting into editing your content the way you do?
Yeah, so it all kind of started so my background a lot is in more of long form content. That's where I really learned the basics of my editing skills. And so when I realized that I really needed to start focusing in on short form content, it was kind of a new world for me. And I really did struggle at the beginning because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so one day, I was literally just sitting on my couch. It was the beginning of the year, and I said to myself, no, I'm gonna get this content thing down and I'm gonna make a change and I'm just gonna do this. And so at that moment, I literally opened up my phone and I just started putting things from Amazon into my cart to build up my content setup and build up my content gear. And so what I did was I kind of just visualized in my mind why am I struggling to make content and how can I make it easier? And so my main struggles were I felt like it was taking me a lot of time to set up the shot, and so I almost wouldn't do it because it was too complicated or it just wasn't coming out the way that I liked, or I felt like I was struggling because my tools weren't really behaving the way that I wanted them to behave. So again, I just wouldn't make the content or I wouldn't post the content because it wasn't coming out how I saw it. And so I said to myself, okay, I need an overhead shot and I need good lighting. And so I just put all the items into my cart and then I ordered it. And, Amazon, a week later, I had it, right? And so I had all my things and I honestly just started creating content with it. But I hadn't started really posting about it until really a couple weeks later, because at the time I was still mainly focusing on doing beginner lash training, and that's really why I wanted to get better at content originally. And so what I started doing was sharing little beginner tips for lash artists through here's how to set up your lash tile or here's how to set up your content setup, things like that. And so it started with my lash tile setup actually that I had shared, because my lash bed is kind of it's not a massage bed, it's more of an esthetician type chair. And so I didn't have room for my lash tile. So I just shared how I set that up. And that video was one of the first videos that I had do really well. And so I was like, okay, people like setups, I guess. So I started
You're
sharing.
like, something's catching on here.
Yes, and so that's when I decided to share my content setup, and at the time, I really hadn't thought much of it, it helped me make content, but, I really wasn't, I didn't think anyone was really gonna go for it too much, and so I had just shared it, and, it kinda blew up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," "Y'all are really excited about this," and I didn't realize, just how, helpful, having the right tools, like, really helped people get better at content. And so after that, like, it just kind of went from there, and that's really how I found my niche, was by just sharing, like, what my ideas were. And then from there, I started to make little improvements, because after I got past, that first hurdle of, okay, like, my tools need to be together, I started thinking, like, okay, like, editing workflow, how can you post and get things done faster? Or, why are people clicking off? Or why aren't they going all the way through the video? Things like that, just to keep people interested and keep growing my account. And so that's when I started really focusing in on my editing. And of course, that's kind of where I found the app CapCut. And then that's when I really started like focusing in on, like, okay, like, how many seconds am I spending on this one clip? Or is this enough action in this clip? And then just kind of combining, like, what I'm doing in editing and also what I'm doing in filming, because I almost started like imagining how I was going to edit this together, like, while I was filming. And so they almost kind of tied together in a way, because once you are able to kind of visualize what you're going to do, you're going to be able to edit a lot more efficiently, edit a lot more faster. And of course, you're going to be able to, like, film and record better because you know what you're looking for now. So yeah, it's kind of just working on that balance. That's kind of how I got
It is,
started doing it and everything. Yeah.
and I love it because yours is, like I said, very unique. It's very like pleasing to my
Hmm.
brain. And we were talking off camera, like when
Hmm.
I first started lashing, it was very like before and afters. Here's a lash on the natural lash. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like very like basic.
Right.
And now
Yes.
everybody wants to like see behind the scenes, like you applying the lash, like you brushing out
Yes.
everything. Like
Right.
how, for somebody that would be, they're like wanting to basically up level their content,
Mhm.
where should they even start?
Yeah, so I'd say start with, honestly, like, what tools are you using? That's gonna be step number 1. And by tools, I kind of don't even really mean, like, what iPhone or what phone you're filming on, because, what really matters is your tripod holding your camera steady? Is your tripod, like, making your phone not be in the right position? Or even your lighting, like, your one ring light that you're lashing with is probably not enough to have your content be bright enough to post on social media. So, like, I
Mm.
would start with, like, your lighting, and then start with, like, your tripod. Because if you're not editing content because it takes too much work to set up, um, then that could be an issue. Because something that I use is like a magnetic MagSafe phone mount that I use for my phone instead of, like, claw clipping my phone in, because for me it was too much work, because my phone's like a max size. So, like, it was really hard to get
Hmm.
it inside the clip. And so I almost hated always doing it. So that kind of prevented me from getting the content done. And then when I struggled with almost my content feeling almost low quality, was because the lighting wasn't good. And so, like, what really helps your content is good lighting. That's probably the basis for beginners, is invest in good light. And you can literally go on Amazon, get like a $30 ring light, add that to the light that you already have, and it's going to improve your content so much. Um, and I tell my clients, or really my models, I'm like, okay, get ready to be blinded, because these lights are going to be really bright, but it's going to make the content look really good. So yeah, that's what I would start with beginners, is like, just start with your tools and start with what you're working with, um, and really evaluate that. And that's really going to help you really start getting higher quality looking content.
And when it comes to tripods, I mean, everybody's got a
Mhm.
tripod, but you, what one do you have? Do you have the one that's like a gooseneck?
Yes. So I have a tripod that's, like, very flexible, very bendable. It's literally from Amazon, and I combined it with a foam mount that's magnetic for MagSafe. And for me, that is the most efficient and sturdy, like, phone tripod setup that you could ever have, because with that, you can literally get every angle possible. You get that top view, you get that, like, front view, you can get bring the camera back, get a POV of you working. And every client lays on the bed differently. Like, because this,
Hmm.
depending on, like, what bed you have, whatever's going on with the client, what pillow you have under the client's head, every client is going to sit on that bed differently. And so you can't just have one tripod set up. You need something that's going to bend and flex to fit your client and make sure that, it's a flattering angle for her. Like if you're doing like a top view, you need a tripod that's going to extend up high enough so you're not so close that it's almost giving this fishbowl effect. You want to be able to come up a little higher, or even just have enough room to put text when you're editing. Kind of calling back to thinking about how you're going to edit that while you're filming. You want to think about like, okay, like, we are going to put text here, or we are going to do this here. And so you don't want to be too close or be in the wrong angle. And having a tripod that's really flexible is going to give you the most amount of ability to do that.
And one thing that I noticed that you post on like your stories is you do full model days, don't you?
Yes. Yes. So I
So,
do.
yeah, explain
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So I do full model days. I feel like, especially back in like early 2024, doing full model days was definitely not as popular as it is now in 2025. And so, that was something I really talked about a lot. And that's something that I love doing. It's probably one of my favorite things to do as a lash tech, is because that's a day where I invite a model in. I do her lashes completely for free in exchange for full creative freedom. And she leaves with a high quality set. And obviously I let her know that, we're going to be here for some time, maybe around like 3.5 to 4 hours, just because when you are filming, it does take time, but it will save you time in
Mhm.
the long run, just because you can keep reusing this content that you take
Mhm.
with your content days. So I really started doing that because I hated that rush feeling that came with trying to film my clients, or they don't want to be recorded, or forgetting, because when you're back to back to back and you're just going, like, oftentimes you forget. Or again, the lights are really bright, so sometimes you don't want to like blind your client after they just like woke up. So
Right, they're
it's
like, really, like, bright lights in my eyes. I'm like, "Yeah,
right.
let me
Look, I
just put
didn't.
it in your face really quick."
Right, right. Look, I didn't sign up for all this. Like, and so
Yeah, I
it can
know, they're
kind of
like,
leave
"Really?"
you, yeah, being like rushed and feeling stressed, and just giving this, again, that negative association to content creation. And so doing those model days helped me to slow down, take my time, chat with my model, not worry about rushing, not worrying about the next client, and just know that I have time to get all the shots that I need. I have time to really make sure this set comes out perfectly and, looking really good for social media. So that's what I started doing, and it's definitely been a huge game changer in terms of like just the type of content that I'm putting out and having time to film everything too.
And I feel like it's a win-win, obviously, for you because you get the content, but then also the model gets the free set, and then they're gonna
Mhm.
go out and promote the shit out of you because you just
Exactly.
did a free set on them, and they're, like, so ecstatic. They'll be like, "Oh my god, look at my beautiful
Yes.
lashes." Like, you need to
Right,
go see
right.
her, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And something I talk about inside the course that I had made about content design is that a lot of models are like individual unsigned models. They love getting their lashes done for free. So you actually can get a model with a little bit of experience, because models who aren't signed, a lot of the times they have to do their own hair and makeup for photo shoots. So they're very
Mm.
excited to have their lashes done so they can save time getting ready for their shoots that they're doing. So it's almost like an equal exchange in some ways, because that saves them time and money in exchange for like a few hours of their time to get pampered, relax, take some photos, which they already know how to do. So you can get some really versatile content. So I definitely recommend going on like Facebook groups, things like that, and looking for different models who are going to be interested, because a lot of models are.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, they're like,
Mhm.
lashes, please," especially for some
Right.
photos. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what is all included inside your course?
Yes. So my course is called Visual Content Design. And it's basically a combination of model day, like how to film, how to conduct, how to find a model, and then a combination of how to edit that content, put that content together, and bring that whole package out. And then I also included some bonus, kind of help you save time, CapCut templates. Um, so kind of like a three package deal. But basically, it literally takes you from the entire process of literally how to dream up and plan your content day, all the way to, finding and sourcing your model, uh, conducting the actual content day, because as much as we love to like talk and yap, take forever, there's definitely ways to do it effectively, and also
Mhm.
make sure that you don't forget to get certain shots. So I talk about how to build and create your own shot list, because it's easy to forget. Then your model leaves, and you're like, "Wait, I needed that shot." Especially the importance of remembering to capture something called evergreen content, which is like content of like you working, like you washing your lashes, you placing a lash, with those really good or zoomed in angles like of the eyeball, or even just overhead type shots. You can keep using that again and again, because obviously as lash artists our skills will continue to progress with each set, but content like placing lashes, washing lashes, like you can keep reusing that months and months, and it's still going to be a representation of your work. Um, so remembering to take those shots are so important because it's really easy to forget. Even really easy to forget taking before sometimes. So I talk about the importance of building that shot list. Um, and I talk about taking really good quality after photos and video, like how to hold it, how to pan your camera, all of that. So you can get a really smooth motion that you can easily chop up and edit and reuse for so many different types of content. Um, and then, of course, how to bring that into the editor and effectively edit things. And I do get very technical in this part, but it is still very beginner friendly because I really talk about like how to edit in something I call visual patterns, and how to edit your clips in certain, literally down to like millisecond lengths of time.
Mhm.
So that way the viewer stays interested and they keep watching. Because a lot of the times, like, we almost like scroll and we keep going without even thinking about it, right? So sometimes we're just going. And so like if something just isn't happening even just for a split second, like fast enough, there's a good chance, you might scroll. And so that's something that I focus on, is like keeping people interested throughout the entire video and like getting the idea across, but not making them wait too long. Because, I say we all got cocoa melon brains, like we got like 3 seconds and we're like, okay, I'm ready to go. And so that's something that really helps, is optimizing that retention. And then of course, I also talk about too, is how to position yourself to make sure your content is interesting for your target audience as well. So for example, like if you have like a lash training course that you're trying to show, you're probably going to want to show a lot of technical type angles, or even angles like if you working with students or things like that, because they almost like grabs your attention like without you even
Mhm.
noticing it, because you're like, oh well, I want to be a student, so you're more likely to stop when you see someone working with a student rather than like, a clip of someone walking down the street. And so I touched on that topic too, where how you can really optimize your content to kind of grab that viewer as well. So yeah.
Y'all need to take this course. Like, she's
Yes.
teaching you everything. Like, I don't know, the more and more I think about, like, how content has changed,
Mhm.
like, since I first started lashing, like, 6 years ago, it was literally just post a photo, and that's
Right.
it. Just boom, you barely even have to edit it. And now you have to make a movie, like
Right.
reels and just a whole production. So it's like, just save your
Yes.
brain and save some
And
your anxiety and a headache and just take the course.
yeah.
And just
Right.
learn straight out and just yeah. So not only does she have a
Exactly.
course, but she's also got an event, you guys. So
I
I'm really
did.
excited because I want to talk about Lash Social. And yeah, so it's like right
Yes.
around the corner.
Oh my gosh,
It's
it is
in
coming up. It's in March. It's March 23rd. It's from 1 to 7 p.m. and it is on a Sunday. And honestly, I am just so excited for it. So this would be Lash Social's second year. Um, so yeah, I could love to tell you all a little bit about how Lash Social started. So our first year was back in 2024, and Lash Social is a convention meets networking event. And the reason we have this combination is because Lash Social actually started as a networking event, but it quickly blossomed into so much more, even in just the 3 weeks that we had to plan it, because we did plan it in 3 weeks. Um, and as we ended up having like 3 times more of the expected turnout, and so in that process, we actually started getting a lot of interest for potential vendors and sponsors. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, this is really happening. Yeah. And that was kind of the turning point from networking event to convention. Um, and so for a while, honestly, I didn't even want to call it a convention because in my mind, like I was like, oh, like this is just like an intimate, like networking thing. But the reality was that it honestly was so much more than that. And honestly, that's kind of what I've embraced even more so going into 2025, our second year. Um, and the crazy thing is that I really learned Lash Social's impact through almost doing the event, right? And basically what followed after as well. So, Lash Social is really a place where lash artists of all different backgrounds can really come together and feel this amazing sense of togetherness and community. And like it really just feels like home. And that's one of my favorite things about Lash Social is because, you are, having chances to make friends and of course shop and you're learning all these amazing things to next level your business. But you just feel so comfortable while you're doing it. And you're just like, I can be myself here. And like that's what I love about Lash Social. Um, and that's when I really realized like just how important Lash Social was is like that feeling right there, but you're just like, I belong here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really know exactly how to put it into words for a while until like I had heard that the same phrase from artists of different backgrounds as I started going to more events and experiencing different things throughout the year. So something I was hearing was in reference to other events was that this event isn't for me or I'm not supposed to be here or just like
Mm-hmm.
almost a sense of feeling uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
like that's when I realized that like Lash Social, the impact that it had was really that it was a place where we represented artists of every single background and they felt that inclusion and they felt that diversity. Um, so when they attended the event, if they were deciding if they were going to attend or if they were deciding like if they had felt that thought of do I belong here, I realized people were really focusing on like the event marketing or who was being represented in the event. And like that's when I realized like okay, like Lash Social, like we had represented in our event marketing, even in the original event, lash artists of all different types of backgrounds. And we had at the event lash artists of so many different types of backgrounds all coming together and all just feeling the sense of togetherness. And that's when I realized just how important positive representation is for the lash community and for these lash events for people to feel welcome and feel like they can really come. And so that's kind of how I landed on like really verbalizing Lash Social's mission of being this place where lash artists can come together, network, and just be themselves and feel like they're being seen, feel like they're being heard, and feel like they're being celebrated literally all through positive representation in the event marketing, through the speakers, through our special guests, inviting all types of vendors, inviting all types of sponsors, and just making everyone feel like, yeah, this is for me to be here. I belong here and we all belong here. And so that's kind of how Lash Social came to be and found its mission and found its purpose in the community. But yeah.
I love that because I have been to many, many, many different events.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like a lot of other people don't feel included. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's very cliquey. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not part of that clique, like, how are you ever going to be like them? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or be
Exactly.
part of them or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. And excuse me, I know as like obviously like a lash artist, when we start, like we're typically solo.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really wish that like there was more events when I was a baby lash artist because I would have been there. Like I was trying to
Right.
find all the networking events that I could go to just to
Right.
build up my name and like get to know people in my like town
Yeah.
that I grew up. But I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I had so many questions about like placement or adhesive, and you go on like
Exactly.
anything social media and they're like, "Psh, I'm not telling you anything. You have to take my course." You know
Right.
what I mean? It's changed now
Exactly.
quite a bit.
Right.
But yeah, there was like no sense of community back then. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. And especially because you're like, well, you're technically southeast, but
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like being in
Yeah.
Georgia, like there, and now I've been in Florida for a year now, and there's not really a whole lot around us. But
Mhm.
people here in the South are just so genuine compared to people on
Mhm.
the West Coast. I can say that from the
Yeah.
West Coast. Like they're just so
Yeah.
much more genuine here and sweet.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I feel like
Yeah.
I'm so excited for the event.
Yes, me too, and so it's really a great place to build a community, and, I'm just genuinely so excited, and
Yes.
so yeah, but if anyone's out there, you're thinking about attending Lash Social, like, honestly, I've had so many people tell me, like, Lash Social was their first event, and they had, like, such an amazing time, and it was so welcoming, so if you're nervous and you're like, "I don't know if I should go," like, I promise you, like, you will literally get there, you will make a friend instantly, you're gonna make multiple friends instantly, and, you're gonna be like, "Wow, this was, like, the best start to my 2025 that I could have ever had," and in addition to all these amazing friends that you're gonna make, like, you're gonna have a chance to do a ton of shopping of so many different amazing brands and just see things that maybe you didn't even know about. And so it's a great way to discover new favorites and of course, learning how to really take your business to the next level in 2025 from all different types of business tips to technique tips. Especially if you're a beginner, this is a great way to learn so many different topics, like literally all in one package. And we have a panel. It's called the Business Behind Beauty panel this year. And we have speakers from all different backgrounds, really talking about their experience for running a successful lash business and all coming from their different perspectives. So you can find one that you really resonate with. And maybe different situations might apply to you depending on who's talking. And so it's a really great way to like learn like the real deal behind running these businesses.
I'm so
So
excited. Yeah, because this is really going to give somebody like that spark that they need, or maybe
mhm.
that, they're like, I don't know where to take my business or how to just need a little bit of help. This is really going to help you
Yeah.
for sure. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, first of all, how can people follow you? And then how do they find tickets to the event?
Yes, so you can follow me at get.thereallook, so get.thereallook, or you can follow me at Lash Social .trl, and either one of those tags you're gonna find me. And if you want to get tickets, you can go to the link in bio of either of those accounts, or just send me a DM on Instagram. I'll send you the website, or just type in lashsocialevent.com and it'll come up. And if you forget the name, no worries. You can type in Lash Convention, and it'll still come up in Atlanta, Lash Convention in Atlanta. You'll find it.
Yay,
But
I'm
yeah, but Lash
excited.
Social, it's March 23rd in Atlanta, Georgia. So yeah,
Yay. Okay, you guys, make sure that you go follow Yanni. And if you can,
yes,
if you're in the area, make sure you come to the Lash Social and come say hi. If you guys have
yes,
questions, definitely reach out to us in the DMs. And
hmm
even if you can't come to like this event, if there's an event that's local to you, like get out of your comfort zone and
yes,
go,
and go.
because like it could,
2025 is the year you do it.
yes, in that one event you could meet that one person that could like totally change your business and
Yes,
like take you in a different, totally different way. So we just have to
yes,
get out of our comfort zone and just do it. So I'm excited,
exactly that.
and hey,
Yes.
make sure you go follow her. All right, thanks guys. Bye.
Bye.